Welcome back to Pre-Calc and Trig. I about said welcome back to Algebra 2. Welcome back to Pre-Calc and Trig. Today we are doing P4, lines in a plane. Okay, this is a huge section because there's a lot. This is half of Algebra 1. So this is a review all the way from Algebra 1 that you guys did when you were in 8th grade or your freshman year. It's been a while. Okay, you've had geometry, you've had Algebra 2 since then, and it's kind of talked about in Algebra 2, but not a lot. So, but there's only 10 questions on this assignment, but it's so important. Like, this is huge for lines and plane. There's a lot of information. So we're going to do slope, point slope, slope-intercept form, graphing using two variables, and then talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. So let's get started. So we have the slope is rise over run. Change in your y's over the change in x's. Okay, so if we have this little triangle, that is the symbol for delta, which means the change of. Okay, so we have the change in y over the change in x. So delta y over delta x would be just the difference of y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, if the line is vertical, then x1 equals x2. And the slope is undefined. So if your x's are 0 and 0, that means it's undefined. That's straight up and down, and then your slope is 0. Or sorry, undefined. There's no slope because you can't have a 0 in the denominator. So to find the slope of a line, again, we just find change in y's over the change in x. So whenever you have 2 points, I like to label them x1, y1, x2, y2. So we plug these into our formula. So we have, again, x1, y1, x2, y2. So we have y2 minus y1, so negative 2 minus 2. So negative 2 minus 2 over 4 minus a negative 1. So negative 2 minus 2, keep change would be a 4. A negative 4, and then a 4 minus a negative 1, keep change, that would be a 5. So you have a negative 4 over 5, which is just negative 4/5. So this would be your change. So your rise over run, up 4 over 5. Okay, so that is your slope. So now let's look at B. I wrote an arrow there, so I remembered to do B. So B, we have 1, 1, and 3, 4. So 1, 1, and 3, 4. So we're looking for the slope, rate of change, rise over run. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. It doesn't matter which one is x2 or x1, as long as you're consistent, then you're gonna get your answer. So slope is always represented by the variable m, okay? Y equals mx plus b, I'm sure you guys, you remember that, but m is always your slope. So we're going to do the change of y's over the change in x's, so 4 minus 1, over 3 minus 1. Well, 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. We can't simplify that fraction, so there it is. That's all you gotta do. Okay. So now let's talk about what if, this is a homework problem that I wanted to pull. So what if you're given your slope and you're given an x variable, that's what we need to find, where you're given an x and a y and we're given just a y. So we're looking for this x to make it to where our slope is 4. So let's find out. We know our formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Nope. Okay, so x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm still going to do everything as we are. And our slope, remember, is the variable m. Okay, so we're going to be kind of solving backwards for that x variable, which is here, which is x1. So that's what we're looking for. So we have slope of m, which is 4, is equal to y2, 16, minus y1, which is 4, over x2, which is 6, minus x1, which is x. Okay, so we got to solve for this x. So first, I'm going to simplify. 16 minus 4 is 12. So we have 4 is equal to 12 over 6 minus x. Okay, so I'm going to break up this fraction, and I'm going to multiply both sides by that denominator. So I'm going to multiply this 6 minus x to both sides to cancel that. Okay, so now we have 4 times 6 minus x is equal to 12. So now we just distribute. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times x is negative 4x is equal to 12. Subtract by 24. Now we're just solving for x. So negative 4x is equal to negative 12. 4x divided by negative 4. So our x is equal to 3. So here our x is 3. And if you wanted to try this out, so if you did 16 minus 4 to check it, 16 minus 4 over 6 minus 3. Okay, well, 16 minus 4 is 12. 6 minus 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. We got it. Cool. So 3 is our answer. So you kind of have to do this and then back solve for your x. And to do that, you break up your fraction by multiplying by your denominator. There is a parallelogram problem. You're going to be using this. Okay, so your last question in your homework, kind of refer back to this. You're going to have to find missing variables for your parallelogram, and you will use this formula. Or that's the way that we solved it. Okay, now let's talk about point slope form. So this is an equation that I would write down in your notes. Point slope form is y minus y1 is equal to m is slope, times x minus x1. So when there's an x1 and a y1, that's where we put our variables, and then the x and the y stay as x and y. So we are finding slope-intercept form given our slope and a point that it passes through. Okay, if you recall, like y equals mx plus b, your b is your y-intercept. But this, it just gives us a point that it passes through. So use point slope form to find an equation that passes through the point negative 3, negative 4, and has a slope of 2. So I'm going to label. So negative 3 is our x1, negative 4 is our y1, and then our slope of 2 is m. So we have everything that we need for our formula. So y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Okay, well y minus our y1 is negative 4, so we have y minus a negative 4, is equal to m, which is 2, times x minus x1, which x minus our x1 is negative 3. So we just plugged in negative 4 here, negative 3 here, and then our slope of m there. So now we need to simplify y minus a negative 4, that's just a positive, y plus 4. And then the same thing here, x minus a negative 3 is just x plus 3, okay? So they kind of skipped a step. So this is 2 and then x plus 3. So we distribute now 2 times x and then 2 times 3. That's your next step. So 2 times x would be, oh, they didn't do that. That's what I would do. I would simplify that and then distribute. So 2 times x is 2x, and then 2 times positive 3 is a positive 6. I don't like this. We're going to do that. So now we simplify. All that we have to do is we want to get y equals on a side by itself, slope-intercept form, which is the next slide, or sorry, yeah, y equals mx plus b, that's the form that we wanted in. So here we just subtract 4 to both sides, combine it with our like terms, so we have y equals 2x, 6 minus 4 is 2. So that would be your equation of the line, and if you recall, 2x plus 2, that 2 is our y-intercept. That 2 would be 2 over 1, that's our slope, so we go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, down 2 to the left 1. Okay, and that would be your line. Okay, so now let's talk about slope-intercept form, which again is y equals mx plus b. So slope-intercept form, it gives you your slope and your y-intercept. So this says write the equation of a line with a slope of 3 passing through the point negative 1, 6. So it gives the same information as the previous slide, except instead of using point slope, we're using slope-intercept form. I don't care which form you use, you're going to get the same answer. Okay, so if we are using, writing an equation as slope that is m and passes through the point negative 1 and 6. So this is our x and our y. So if we're using this formula, so our y is our y, our m is our m, our x is our x, we are looking for b. We're looking for our y-intercept. Okay, so if we plug those into our respective, numbers, so we have y equals, y is our 6, so we have 6 equals m, which is 3, times x, which is negative 1, plus b. And now we just solve. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So I'm going to come over here. So 6 times 3 times -1 is -3 plus b. Add 3. So our b equals 9. So we have to back plug that in to say slope-intercept form of the equation is y equals 3x, which is your slope, plus 9. Okay, and again, if we wanted to graph that, it would be up here at 9. And then our slope would be up 3 over 1. Very rough graph, but you guys got the idea. And you don't have to graph on your homework, but I just wanted to kind of, visualize, show you what that graph looks like. So now we're gonna write the following equation into slope-intercept form, okay? So a little recall, what is slope-intercept form? We just learned on the previous slide or reviewed. Slope-intercept form gives us our slope and our y-intercept, which is y equals mx plus b. Okay, this, it's given to us in standard form, 2x plus 3y equals 6. Really doesn't do a lot for us, okay? We can't graph like this. We'd have to do some, solving for x and y, or solving, zeros for y to get x and y intercepts. No fun. The best way to do it, to graph it, would be to get it into slope-intercept form. So what we need to do, you're essentially getting it into this form by getting y by itself. So we are going to solve for y. Okay, so first we solve for y. So in order to do that, what on the same side as that y is this 2x. So we're going to move that over first. Okay, so that cancels. So we bring down our 3y equals, and then 6 minus 2x, those are not like terms. We cannot simplify. If you notice, our mx and then plus b, so our x variable, or the term with the x, goes first. So I'm going to write -2 plus 6. So -2 goes first. -2, positive 6. Okay, now we still want y by itself, okay, but we have a 3 on front. That's your coefficient that's being multiplied. We want to undo that multiplication by dividing by 3. So we divide that by 3. But you do one thing you have to do to everything else, because it's rude to leave anyone out. So those cancel, so we just have our y. -2 over 3 can't simplify, so it's just -2 over 3. And then 6 over 3 simplifies to be positive 2. So that would be your graph, or your slope-intercept form. Okay, so you start at 2, go down 2 over 3. It's a negative slope, and there you go. Now let's talk about parallel and perpendicular. So if two non-vertical lines are parallel, if and only if their slopes are equal. And then for parallel, slopes are equal. And then for perpendicular, slopes are opposite reciprocals. Okay, so that means opposite signs, so positive, negative, negative, positive, and then flipped fraction. Okay, so opposite, so perpendicular is opposite reciprocal. Okay, so like here, if we have M1, that would be equal to -1 over N2. So this is like over 1. We flipped it for the reciprocal. This one's positive, this one's negative. Okay, so we're gonna do an example. This one is like one from your homework. We're finding the equation of a parallel and perpendicular line. So it says find an equation of the line through. It has this point, P, and then our point is 1, -2. That is parallel. So first we're gonna do parallel, and then over here we're gonna do perpendicular. So we're gonna do parallel to the equation 3x minus 2y equals 1. Okay, so for parallel, our slopes are the same. Okay, so by looking at this right here, we don't know our slope. So we have to get it into slope-intercept form. So by doing that, we solve for our y. Okay, to solve for y, we subtract 3x to both sides. So -2y is equal to -3x plus 1. Divide by -2 to all three terms. So we have y is equal to negative divided by negative is a positive 3 over 2x, and then minus 1/2. So our slope here, our m, is equal to 3 over 2. So we have our graph, your y-intercept is -1/2. It goes up 3 over 2. That is this original graph. So we're looking for two lines that are parallel to this, and one that's parallel, and then one that's perpendicular to this line right here. So we know that we're finding an equation of the line that passes through the point 1, -2. So that would be our x1 and our y1. So this is x1 and y1, okay? So if our graph, or if we have our slope is 3/2, and then it passes through this point. So if it's parallel, they have the same slope. So if this slope is 3/2, parallel the slope is 3/2. Okay, so your m is 3/2, and then your point x1, y1 is 1 and -2. So point slope formula, we have y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So y minus y1 gives us the y plus 2 is equal to m 3/2 times x minus 1. Now we distribute. Y plus 2 is equal to 3/2x, and then 3/2 times -1 would be -3/2. Okay, we don't want to get rid of our fractions because we need fractions with slopes. It's fine if you have fractions. So we're just going to subtract 2 here. We subtract 2 from the -3/2. If you're not good at fractions, practice. You can use Desmos, a scientific calculator that is linked in your resources, and you can use that. But if we have -3/2 minus 2/1, denominators need to be the same, so we can make this to be a 2 by multiplying the top and the bottom by 2. So we have a -3/2 minus 4/2. So that would be a -7/2. So -3 minus 4 would be a -7/2. So that's how we get the -7/2. So this is a line that is parallel. Okay, so now we want one that's perpendicular that still passes through the point 1, -2. But if it's perpendicular, our slopes are opposite reciprocals. Okay, opposite signs, flipped fractions. So our original fraction is 3/2. So now our perpendicular would be 2/3. Our original fraction slope is positive, so that means our perpendicular reciprocal would be a -2/3. So that's all we had to do. So now we're going to do the same thing. We have, again, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So y minus our y1 is -2 equals m, which is -2/3 times x minus x1. And now we just solve for, get this y by itself. So that's going to be a positive. So let's distribute. So we have y plus 2 is equal to -2/3x. -2/3 times a -1 would be a positive 2/3. Subtract 2, and we have y equals -2/3x, and then a positive 2/3 minus a 2/1. So that would be 2/3. That could be a 3, multiplying the top and the bottom. So that would be -6/3. 2 minus 6 is -4/3. So -4/3. And that would be your equation. So this one is parallel because they have the same slopes. This one is perpendicular because they have opposite reciprocals. Okay, and if we were in class, I'd pull up Desmos and we'd look at these graphs, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get there. Since this is just a little review, as long as you kind of brush up on these concepts, we'll be good. Okay, homework assignment, only 10 questions. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.